Good morning, beautiful people. It is Thursday, May 14th. Last night, a man's face got beat so bad that people were asking why his team didn't tell him to quit or throw in the towel. Yes, the UFC's back, but will other sports be back? The NBA is predicting that 22 of 30 of their practice facilities will be open on Monday. Here we go. Here we go. Things are happening. The Florida governor said, hey, come on down, pro sports. You can do whatever you need to do down here. Arizona said the same thing. Florida said that now. Those are the two homes for spring training for baseball. But the MLB, I don't think is coming back with a shorter season or this year because the players are being put in a predicament where they cannot say, yes, we will do this. Allegedly, since it's half a season, they're being asked to take half the amount of money. And then it's a 50-50 revenue split, which will probably be another 33% off of that. Then you do taxes. It's like the baseball players, the MLB players, are being tasked with playing baseball for free in lieu of having a season that is probably going to be shortened and not as interesting anyways, coming fresh off a commissioner saying that their championship trophy is just a piece of metal. We will have Jeff Passan, insider for the MLB from ESPN, joining us in the second hour to ask him about that. Like, hey, how are they going to figure out the players saying, hey, there's no chance of us doing this, let alone the thought that we could potentially get the Rona, which is what old
Blake Snell.
Benny's a running back for Steelers.
Blake Snell said, hey, what if I get the Rona? I don't know what's going to happen. So you're asking me to make much less money with much more risk. I'm out, he says. Is that how all the players feel? We'll ask Jeff Passan about that. The NFL is saying, hey, we might not have fans in our stadiums this coming fall because a virus has come through. Whoa! A lot of people. Gatherings in Indianapolis have been moved from next to nothing to 25 people. Restaurants are allowed to be open 50%, but only on outside, not inside. It feels as if Texas is opened up, Florida's opening up, Arizona's opened up, Georgia's opened up. A lot of places are opening up, but there's still some places that are being devastated by this coronavirus. So everybody has to plan accordingly. The NFL says we might not have any fans in the stands because we don't know who can get what, and we don't want anybody to die at one of our games, but we would like our season to go on and potentially either be a distraction or, usual. Fox says if there's no fans in the stands, that's going to be weird. What should we do? Joe Buck comes out in an interview and says, you know what we're going to do, Andy Cohen? Joe Buck told Andy Cohen. Who's Andy Cohen? From E?
Bravo, I think.
Bravo. He's a Real Housewives guy?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, so Joe Buck told Andy Cohen, Real Housewives guy, that if there was to be no fans in the stands, they would pump in crowd noise and have a virtual crowd. Now, if you watch the Korean baseball organization, they had a virtual crowd on the Jumbotron in the outfield with fake heads that looked like they were South Park or Family Guy or The Simpsons in all of the seats around. Is that what Fox is thinking? And for the crowd noise, I actually do not hate this. Okay, wrestling on Wednesday nights is NXT and AEW. NXT is the third brand of WWE. Mr. H, Triple H runs it. They go directly against AEW, which was founded by Tony Khan, Cody Rhodes, an entire crew, right? It's a wrestling world. If you're not a wrestling fan, you don't have to know that to hear what I'm about to say. AEW has decided to have their talent roster scattered around the ring. So if you're not wrestling, they have you around the ring. And I think last night they were pumping in some crowd noise while some of their wrestlers were around the outside. So it was like, oh, maybe that noise is coming from said person there. But the noise being pumped in, whenever the original thought was in the wrestling world to pump in a fake crowd noise, or in all these other things, they're saying we'll pump in a fake crowd noise. I was like, that's stupid. Nobody's going to be honest, it didn't sound that bad. And with football, I assume there's ways that they'll be able to shoot it so you don't even see that the crowd is empty. You got to remember, when I called the Texas Tech Baylor Texas shootout at Jerry World just a couple years ago with AJ Hawk and Sean
McDonough?
No.
Kelly, maybe?
Sean Kelly was the play-by-play guy. Good guy. Forgot his name. Still a good guy. Just haven't talked to him since then, basically. But Sean, good guy. We called the Texas shootout. It was Texas Tech versus Baylor. Cliff Kingsbury versus Matt Rule. Both now in the NFL. You're welcome. Was it because we were calling the game? How come that has not been talked about? Anyways, most of the stadium was not filled because Jerry World has like 100,000 people. And Baylor and Texas Tech at that particular time were not going to fill up 100,000 people. So the way they were shooting it was obviously covering that up. I said something like, oh, a lot of people dressed like seats here today. And I got a person in my ear said, do not say a word about the attendance. People at home don't need to know that there's nobody here. I think there'll be ways that they don't have to show the crowd. If they pump in crowd noise, try to make it as normal as possible. I don't hate it. I don't think it's that bad of a move. And I think, to be honest, I think the NFL is going to come back. They're going to figure out a way to get the LA teams out of LA because they're not going to be able to play there for some time, it does feel like. And we are sorry for Los Angeles. You get the San Francisco team out of San Francisco, even though they were in the Super Bowl last year, but California seems like it's going to be on lockdown for the foreseeable future. You get them some new homes. Maybe it's San Antonio. Maybe it's St. Louis getting a team back because they already have the facilities for it. Who knows where they'll end up, but let's move them in the next 3 months before the season starts. Also, the New England Patriots up in Massachusetts, Massachusetts has been in a bad spot with the Rona as well. Get them in a new home. Maybe move them down to Miami. That's what somebody tweeted last night, and I thought that was very hilarious because the thought of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick being in the same town. And then you get the New York teams, obviously, that are in New Jersey, not New York. Move them as well, and let's move forward with the season. If that's the case, I would assume there's going to be some fans in the stands. And if it's that 15,000 person limit rule that Miami Dolphins said that they were allowed to have and that has got passed, and you pump in some fake noise, the viewer at home can be like, I think they could create that amount of noise. Like, unless it's overwhelmingly loud, I don't think anybody will be able to notice. I think it's a good move. And I'm pumped that we're at the fact now that we are moving forward with a lot of good stuff happening. Nick Ronaldo just said, you got to look at this. Joe Buck just tweeted, amazing that the headline doesn't match what I said. Didn't think that happened at places like Sports Illustrated. I've been saying for over a month, including on HBO in April, that some ambient crowd noise under a broadcast is a simple, necessary tool to normalize the viewing experience at home. Bingo, what I just said. Me and Joe Buck are on the same page. Since I said Joe Buck's name, the comment section is about to get very vulgar. We are a pro Joe Buck thing, think it's a good idea. Let me introduce the rest of the boys. At Nick Ronaldo's here wearing his shark shirt. That is not a Shock Gang shirt. That is just a shark shirt. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. This is the PMI Zoo that Connor put together. The Shock shirt is available. This is just a shark shirt.
Okay,
beautiful.
That's PMI Zoo. We'll get to that guy in a second. At Tone Diggs is here. Ty Schmidt is here. Answering your phones, 1-833-622-3331. Is a maniac of an individual. Looks like he's straight out of Dallas Buyers Club. Boston Connor.
Well, I'm not in Dallas now. I'm back up below Virginia, Pat.
Oh, this is the first guy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh,
I'm back
God.
below Virginia, not in Texas now. My cousin's still down there.
And what is your name again? The guy from Virginia?
The guy from Virginia may not have a name, and because he may not have a name, it's mostly because I might have forgot it if I said it before.
Yeah, a lot of vitamins since then. Andrew on the keto. You, by the way, you've lost a toddler since that day started with your keto dieting. You've been doing a great job, Mr. Virginia man.
Thank you, sir, but I ate about a mountain of ice cream last night, so I do not think that it'll be going any further.
You got to do what you got to do. That no-carb diet is impossible. And once you get one carb, by the way, they say they run a gangbang basically on your mouth until you're fat again. But I don't think you'll be able to do that. You're mental tough enough. What's the quote that you got there?
Today on the board we have, I'm warning you, if you touch my drums, I will stab you in the neck with a knife, dildo bat.
Thank you for that. Legendary quote, obviously motivating, especially in a time like this. The people need to hear that. Jason McAfee's here. At Viva Lazito is here looking fantastic. And Evan Foxy, who got in a good pump yesterday. How's it going, Foxy?
Fantastic.
Lions might not suck this year.
I don't think so. Rodgers is running out of time. Stafford's the best quarterback in the division. Why not us?
Well, a lot of people would say the reason why is because the last 70 years or so has said that you wouldn't.
Yeah, we're past that, though.
Past that. What have you done for me lately?
Exactly.
Lose. That's what you guys have done.
Come on.
Yep. And tie. That's something you guys have done.
We're good at tying.
But 8-9 games, the Detroit Lions are in the lead. Will they next year be able to get over the hump? Matt Patricia's third year there, didn't get fired. Everybody thought he was going to get fired. You still got the superstar Matt Prater kicking balls and playing quarterback for you. Matthew Stafford comes back from a broken freaking back. Are the Lions the hottest team in the NFL next season at this time? Are we saying that? Probably.
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Pat, it's been a weird year. Why not the Lions this year?
Weird year is an understatement. At this, Florida says all pros. I mean UFOs 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
UFOs got confirmed 2 weeks ago, and who cares?
No one cares.
Who cares? Who cares?
We knew it.
Who cares?
We saw those videos years ago on the internet, but you always thought maybe those things were photoshopped. Maybe those things were edited. The Pentagon said, no, this flying little tiny thing that's flying at Mach speeds faster than anything we got that we figured out how to track is an unidentified flying object. We have no idea who created that. It might be the Russian space station, or it might be somebody from a different planet or somebody that lives inside of our moon.
They didn't check inside the moon.
They don't check inside any of these damn planets. They take a picture of the outside and say, oh, there's nothing there. It's like, yo, what if Jacob Sully and the boys are down inside of that thing? Nobody knows.
And Elon Musk is going inside the Earth now, too, so it's like, meh.
But that happened a couple weeks ago. Nobody's even talked about it. Who cares? Let's move forward. What we've only been talking about is when are sports going to come back and how crazy 2020 is. The unemployment rate is at a level that I don't think America's ever seen. But there's more people on unemployment right now than there's ever been before or something like that. I mean, there's people being locked in their houses saying, hey, I'm ready to get outside. I'll roll the dice. You got the Blue Angels flying overhead. Say, hey, come celebrate with us, which means everybody's going to come out onto the streets. You're allowed to go to the grocery store and elbow people for some avocados, but you're not allowed to go to a restaurant. 2020 is insane. If the Detroit Lions were to win, people would say that was the craziest thing that had ever happened in the year 2020.
I'll take it. I'll take that all day.
Florida's opening back up. I think this isn't an attempt, by the way. Florida governor deemed WWE 2 weeks ago, when we were in the middle of full lockdown on everything, WWE an essential business. I think everybody thought, especially with the way Florida was being viewed at the beginning of this lockdown, that Florida would be the first ones to take the steps back into, hey, let's get reacquainted. Texas was actually, though. Texas was the first open one to say, hey, we are opened back up. We are going to live our lives. Let's see how it goes. Texas, by the way, Texas and California, not only are they handling this lockdown in polar opposite fashions, I would say that's probably, the two most polar opposite states we have?
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, probably. Pretty close.
Which one's going to be right?
Maybe both.
Maybe both. Maybe for their particular situations, maybe California had to handle it the way they're handling, and maybe Texas said, this is how we got to handle it for ours. But in 10 years from now, what is history going to say? I have no idea. But Florida was a place where a lot of people were making fun of the older crazy whites who were running around on the beach saying, look at these people. These are the reason why we're doing whatever. And I'm not sure if that's been factual or not, but they said, hey, come on back down to Florida. Is that opening up for the NBA to go down there? So in Orlando that they can have their little, their massive tournament that everybody will say will have an asterisk on it? Is that for the MLB to come down there because they got a lot of spring training? I believe the Florida governor says, hey, if Arizona wants to open up, we want to let you know. We would also like to open up, and we know that the NBA wasn't thinking about going to Arizona. They are thinking about coming to Florida. We are wide open. Come on in and do whatever you got to do. Penetrate our state border and play whatever you got to play because we are a place that's down with it. And by the way, they have, I believe, they have kept the older community pretty much barricaded away from everybody else. So that was Florida's big move, I guess, from what I've been told. I was trying to look up some stuff this morning, from what I've been told and what I read, and Florida has kept their olds away from their youngs in an attempt to keep the corona smart, from what we've learned here at this point, with baseball potentially coming to Florida, basketball potentially coming to Florida. How do they keep all the other fans not? Like if the Lakers want to come, like what do the Laker fans want to drive across? Like, hey, what do we? Pelican fans come on. Is that what Florida's saying? Like, hey, because I always thought, like, if New York's still locked down and California's still locked down, but Indiana's like, come on in. You don't just yodel, or you don't just drive. Like, couldn't everybody just drive?
I think so. I'm under the impression that I've seen a lot of people I think did do that, like flew from New York down to Florida and have been like staying in hotels. Like you get quarantined 2 weeks when you first get there, but I think a lot of people have been doing that.
But who locks you down? Are cops outside of your?
I think it's like at the airport when you get there.
You stay at the airport for 2 weeks?
No, but I think like they put you through. They make sure that people can't just slip through the cracks and get out of there.
They screen you and send you to the hotel.
Right.
So highways that are coming in. Let's say Florida. Let's say that the NBA is doing a thing down in Florida, and you're a diehard Celtics fan. By the way, I've made the drive from Morgantown, West Virginia, to Panama City Beach.
Oh, jeez.
It's the worst.
It's terrible, and going back, by the way.
Oh, I can imagine.
Oh my God. What'd I do? I just took down every bottle in Panama City, basically. Now I got to sit in a car that I can't sleep in and just sit for. Anyways, but if a Celtics fan, diehard Celtics fan, wants to drive down to Florida, are they getting checked at every state border? Like, how does that happen?
I don't know if it's every state border, but I have read. Tony's got
There
it.
we go, Diggs. Diggs got stats.
All persons traveling from New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Louisiana are required upon entry of Florida to self-isolate for 14 days.
Okay, they're not going to do that.
Roadside checkpoints are set up on interstates to check for potential COVID-19 cases coming into Florida.
Okay, so it's like a DUI checkpoint. Maybe once a month that thing will pop up. Probably not going to hit it, though.
And then basically the same things are happening at airports as well.
Okay.
My family said in Florida, though, they all get temperature thing coming into the state.
Really? Just driving into the state?
Yeah, everyone.
Okay, so you're stopped at the borders.
Yeah.
Because, by the way, you drive through Europe. Whenever you go to a new country, it's a full, which, by the way, I don't want to say Europe's countries are like states, but it is, you drive, they're all tight. Now, granted, I don't know how one country that's right here can be this close to a country that's right here, and they speak very different languages. I would like to go back into the annals of history to see how that happened. Like, did this group just not like this group, and they're like, at this particular imaginary line, you speak this language and you speak that, I don't fully understand it. It's like in America. We're from Pittsburgh. We sound much different than people, 6 hours east of us? And then you go 6 hours south of us, I don't know how language happens. That's something to talk about. But when you go in through Europe, you got to stop at the border, and it's like, it's locked down. Like every single drive that I've drove from Switzerland, I guess, Austria, Germany to France, and all those, you get stopped at every single border when you're driving in. Is that what it's going to become here? Because we're scared that some people from the Rona-infested places are going to potentially spread it to somewhere else. And what if we have a second run? I don't know. I'm intrigued to see how all the smarter people than us figure that out. But it feels as if sports are going to get back in this, and feels as if people like Dana White are going to figure out ways to get it done. And I thank those people because we need it in this particular time.
Yeah, I think if your sport wants to come back, they're going to find a way to come back. But some of the baseball players who don't seem like they want to come back, they'll find excuses to not do it.
Well, I don't know if it's excuses, but reasons, right? Excuses are normal. Reasons and excuses, basically the same thing, just with a bad PR campaign for the excuse people, right? I mean, that's just a bad PR. But the baseball players are like, listen, they want us to take a 50% pay cut already because it's half the amount of games, right? Because they're saying it's going to be 82 games as opposed to 700 games, which nobody cares about any of them, but you understand. Then they said there's another 33% pay cut because the revenue will be a 50-50 split, and they won't be able to have crowds, which I guess makes up 40% of their money.
Yep.
So then that number is being cut down 33%. So you do some quick math. What is, you lose 50%, then you lose another 33%. What are you, 17% at this point, right?
And then getting taxed on top of that.
Yeah, but now you're getting taxed, which most baseball players are probably getting taxed more than 40% at this point. So then you do the math on that. What is that, 9%?
Yeah, just about.
9% of their salary is what these baseball players are being projected to make for an 82-game season plus playoffs in a situation where they probably won't be around their families and stuff like that.
With the risk of getting corona?
Yeah, and it's going to be very easy to say, oh, these baseball players are a bunch of soft-ass bitches. It's very easy to say that. But then once you think about it, it's like, would I do that? Like if we were asked to do that right now, granted, a lot of sponsors have dropped off and we've been doing a lot of this for free, but our job is much different than what this particular job would be. We're not away from our families. Now, granted, we don't get to see a lot of people, but if you're a baseball player and you know you can only make a certain amount of money for this amount of time in your life, you have to make, now granted, there's baseball players that make enough money for generations of their family, but there's also a lot of baseball players, I'd assume, like every other professional sport, that don't make a damn thing. Now, so those people, you're asking them to make 9% of what they normally make, and you're also now potentially putting them away from their family. I don't know how you get the MLBPA to ever say, yeah, we'll do that. And the MLBPA, by the way, has negotiated very good deals with the MLB. They have a lot of power over the MLB. Rob Manfred, the commissioner of the MLB, who called the championship trophy a piece of metal and tried to bury the Houston Astros sign-stealing scandal or whatever, potentially the guy who saved Roger Goodell's image, because when you watch that guy speak, you said, well, thank God we don't have that guy. But he has been beat in negotiation with the MLBPA, I believe, right? They have the highest guarantee, I believe, of money. There's no salary cap. There's a lot of things. Now the back end, the bottom end of the rosters, I probably don't get as good as the top end for MLB, but this feels like the MLB is not coming back, but it does feel like the NBA is coming back. And that is something I think a majority of America is much happier about. If MLB, though, was the only sport in town and they were to come back, I think people would be like, thank God.
Very much so.
But with the thought that LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Chris Paul, all of these mega superstars in a sport that is much more well-liked, they're like, yeah, we'll come back. And they're not expecting to only get paid 9%. I'd assume there's a much different operation happen with the NBA. I think this kind of buries this story, but I don't think we're going to have the MLB. I honestly don't think we're going to.
Yes, yesterday when it came out that they were, like moving forward and like talked about the 82 or 81 game season, I thought it was for sure going to happen. And then after today, I'm convinced that there is no way it's going to happen.
No chance.
I just think of all those guys, too, who are in, like, the year, let's say they sign a 7-year contract and you're in like 5 or 6. that is a massive amount of money that all of a sudden is just disappearing. And like if you're in your prime, you're not going to have an opportunity to make that again.
Play that clip. Let's play that clip from Blake Snell,
Yep.
who I have no idea who he plays for, what he plays, and how he plays, but I like the way he was speaking last night on his Twitch stream.
Almost won the Cy Young last year in the AL, so he's good. He's
everybody,
very good.
Everybody knows you win a Cy Young. That means you're the best
pitcher in baseball.
Yeah, absolutely you are. Sports show. Let's talk about it. And also minor league baseball player. He was on his Twitch last night, and this is what I like about 2020 the most. Guys don't have to go through media to get their narrative out, right? So Blake Snell opened up about this. I assume he had thought this out very, very, very well. I mean, this was a great message. And if he tells this to an old school, let's say this is 15 years ago, he tells this to an MLB writer, that person will take out certain clips of his quote and say, so you want me to take 33% and then kind of paint it bad. Blake Snell last night on his Twitch playing baseball, I believe on his Twitch, unloaded a bunch of information on why the MLB players hate the thought of what's being proposed to them in coming back and playing baseball in a shorter season.
Bro, y'all gotta understand too, because y'all gonna be like, bro, Blake, play for the love of the game, man. What's wrong with you, bro? Money should not be a thing. Bro, I'm risking my life. What do you mean it should not be a thing? It 100% should be a thing. If I'm gonna play, I should be getting the money I signed to be getting paid. I should not be getting half of what I'm getting paid because the season's cut in half, on top of a 33% cut of the half that's already there. So I'm really getting like 25%. On top of that, it's getting taxed. So imagine how much I'm actually making to play. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't making. And on top of that, so all that money's gone. And now I play risking my life. And if I get the Rona, on top of that, if I get the Rona, guess what happens with that?
The Rona.
Oh, yeah, that's in my body forever. That damage is not going to be like, the damage that was done to my body, that's going to be there forever. So now I got to play with that on top of that. So y'all got to understand, man, for me to take a pay cut is not happening because the risk is through the roof. It's a shorter season, less pay. Like, bro, yeah, man, I gotta get my money. I'm not playing unless I get mine.
Get your chickens. Get your mentals right. Blake Snell, who I did not know existed until right now, is not happy, and you can understand why whenever he lays it out that way. Yeah, love of the game is a real thing, but go ahead and ask if the teachers who love teaching would do it for free. They get paid next to nothing anyways, but if they would do it for complete free, you wouldn't do it. And now, granted, the money is massive for some guys. I would assume this guy's money is very long. I would assume
He's only making $7 million this year.
So, and I did 12% of $7 million is $960,000. So there's gonna be a lot of people who be like, "Oh, you can't play 80 games for almost $1 million."
Yeah. By the way, very valid point whenever you think about it. But if you're that guy, it's like, do I want to blow my arm out for $960,000? I have no idea how much money and how many pitches this arm has left. And is he a lefty? He looked like he was a lefty.
I think he is a lefty.
He was talking a lot with his left hand. I was just trying to figure it out there just by reading a little
body language,
non-communication, non-verbal communication. You know what I mean? Which is 80% of communication. So whenever you're watching a video and a guy has a mask on, like Anonymous or V for Vendetta, it's hard to understand what the hell he's saying. Need to turn captions on. Wait, movies are better whenever there's captions on. Oh, that's my life now. Okay. He looked like he was a lefty, though.
He is a lefty, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he's a lefty. He says, hey, I don't know how many more on this elbow I have. And now you want me to do it for, 78% lower than I would normally do it for? You can understand why they would not be happy about that, the players. But then you can also understand why the fans of baseball, which I'm not sure how many there are. We got one in here, I think.
Nah, I like baseball.
You are not a fan of baseball.
I am a fan of baseball.
You are not a fan of baseball.
I love baseball.
Never heard you talk about the baseball one time.
Let's go Sox, baby.
Okay. When Big Papi got shot, that was the last time I heard you speak about baseball.
That was the saddest day of my life. I had a banner in here.
Saddest day of your life?
I had a banner. I had a Red Sox banner in here, a week ago?
Okay.
There was a banner in there.
There was a Boston Red Sox banner.
Well, why is it that?
Because he hates baseball. But that's the thing. I think the limited amount of fans that baseball have are not happy about the thought of baseball not happening because this 82-game season, by the way, and I might be completely off base, this feels like this could potentially be a sample for like, hey, can we shorten this season up a little bit, maybe sell more tickets to the games that we have as opposed to having 160-some games and there being none of that? Ty, you're a baseball fan. Is there any thought of shortening the season?
I don't think so, at least not cutting it in half. I think a lot of, like...
Why? I don't understand why you baseball people... Huh?
Stats. Baseball's all stats, and they'll never do it.
Oh, because you need that many games to potentially.
Well, no,
That's
just
a
'cause,
lot
like,
of at-bats guys aren't getting, and a lot of games like pitchers can't start. Like there's so much stuff that goes into it.
Because 70 home runs and stuff of that
Exactly.
nature has to happen with the long. Just like whenever it becomes a 17-game season, every record's going to get changed. Like Vinatieri is the all-time leading scorer in the 16-game era is what it will be. Because when it comes into a 17-game, if you get Justin Tucker, let's say Justin Tucker plays for another 10 years, and he's getting an extra game every single season, and those are the only points that they count, by the way, are regular season points, which makes no sense. Vinatieri would probably have he has an entire another 3 years of football in the playoffs or whatever. All of the stats are going to have to change whenever things change. How about the stats from the will LeBron's playoff stats count if they run this tournament or whatever? They will. But is that fair to LeBron? Is that fair to LeBron that he has to go live in Las Vegas with table games open underneath? Imagine how Jordan would do if he had to go playoffs in the casino in Las Vegas. Imagine Dennis Rodman being out there. You know what I mean? It's going to take some real leadership on these basketball teams if they're in Las Vegas. But Florida's like, no, come down to Mickey Mouse World. We'll keep them out of the thoughts and tots and the. We got to get to a break. 25 minutes after the hour. Thought we had nothing to talk about today, and here we are, blowing right past the break. We got a copyright strike.
What?
From what?
Whoa.
From we thought was a friend of the show. We played his song because I asked, can we play your song? It's a good song. We'd like to have, let some people who might not have heard it hear it.
Sure. Being a good guy.
So I thought we were trying to do here, trying to take care of each other. Of
course.
Uncle Sam sends us a song. What do? We put it on.
Blast it.
Anansi sends us a song. What do? Put it on.
Blast it. For the brand.
For the brand. For the brand. For the brand. For the brand. For the brand. For the brand. We got a copyright for Sugar Boss and some quickness by Clayton Anderson.
I'm off it.
Clayton Anderson and I have played shows together.
Yes.
Copyright strike on our YouTube, trying to take down our damn business. I say, listen to this, Clayton. That song's a good song, but it ain't worth losing my business for. I'll tell you that right now. Couple songs are, I'd say. That one is not.
Saboteur.
We're back on the other side. This is the Pat McAfee Show with no Clayton Anderson. Okay, so I was elected captain in a week. We played the Lions up in Detroit. And Vandenbosch was one of the captains for them. And he had red contacts.
Yeah, that's him.
He had red contacts in, and we walked up to each other, right? And I think I'm with like Mathis and some other people. I don't know. I should not have been there. I was just far left or whatever. I'm just on the far left side of it. And I walk in, and we all dap each other up. And then he's there, and I go shake his hands. I look him in the eyes, and I didn't say anything. I just looked him right in the eyes, and he like dapped me up or whatever, gave a fist bump. And I just stared at him for the entire coin toss. Like the ref was talking to whoever was going to talk for us. And I was just looking this guy right in the eyes the whole time. And then as soon as we go to leave, I go, that's wild, man. I just jog off to my side. In those captains' meetings, I've had some incredible electric moments. We played against the Minnesota Vikings, and Adrian Peterson was the captain of Vikings. I was captain of the Colts. There was like 3 other people. We walk out there for this. And the only thing I've heard about Adrian Peterson is how firm, well, I've heard a lot of things about Adrian Peterson. Those aside. But I've heard that Adrian Peterson's handshake is a firm one. Like Adrian Peterson has a firm handshake. It's like this legendary story. So we go out for the coin toss and I see him and I'm like, here we go. And as soon as we go for the handshake, I get in early. I get in because the key to breaking a very stern handshake is you get in early because you got to beat the grip. So he's like kind of casually shaking everybody else's hands. I'm like dapping everybody up like slowly. And I'm like watching him the entire time. And he brings his hand out and I race in to get the netting and your thumb on the thumb. And then I squeeze first, right? So I get like, that's like in arm wrestling when you get the angle on it. So he squeezes back And I give him like a ha-ha, like, right? So while the coin toss is happening, Adrian Peterson looks at me while he's standing on the other side. Neither of us were speaking captains. And he goes, after the coin toss, we're doing another one. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. He goes back. As soon as the coin toss is over, there's another dap up before we run back. And we did this handshake. He got me around too. I'm be honest. And that was my drop hand too. That's like my punt drop hand. I thought it was going to be broke. But I was like, those coin toss things, I don't know how you don't shake hands because it's just an awkward situation where you're forced to shake hands almost.
Let's get it. Let's go. Dream house is a tour bus. Scream loud that you knew us. Deep down on the new plug. You ain't about to get too dust. Pete's frown when they crew scrubs. Sweet sound from the two subs. Beats loud as a move, bruh. Lead the crowd like, ooh, what? Long hair on the big body. 210s, both sitting shoddy. Crack a fist, start getting rowdy. Blowing nose, looking like an Audi. It's Uncle Sam, but without the taxes. Crowd stands up, I keep them loud. I made this beat, you hear it smacking? Who is 30? Hand me a nap. You probably wasn't expecting this. What? Expected this? Why?
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. No answer.
Yeah, he has a new number from last time, so I was going to try the old one, but I didn't want to call rando.
Brian Westbrook might be joining us here within the next couple minutes. We don't want to call a rando, but we have potentially his number. I think the NFL virtual fans and crowd noise, I think is a good move, okay, for the NFL. I think the NBA opening 22 of 30 facilities by Monday, I think that is good news as well. I think we got him that quick. Did he call back, Zeke?
I think he did, yeah. He might have been in the bathroom.
Just kind of throwing him under the bus there. I think good news. Also, joining us right now, legendary running back, two-time Pro Bowler and an All-Pro in the Philadelphia Eagles Hall of Fame, ladies and gentlemen, Brian Westbrook.
Yeah, Brian!
Attaboy, Brian!
Brian! What's up, guys? How's it going?
Hey, Brian, I want to let you know there was stories and potential allegations that we called you didn't answer. There was a chance you were in the bathroom. Is that an accurate or a false allegation?
I don't know if you understand how this FaceTime works. So as soon as they come on, I can actually hear what you are saying. So I heard Pat McAfee say that I was in the bathroom.
No, that was not me. That was not me.
That was me. That was me right there.
Hand up.
I was not going to sell out Zito because that's not my style, but I would not take blame for that. Mr. Westbrook, I can't thank you enough for joining us. How has quarantine been going? And that hoodie looks incredibly dope.
You know what? This is a hoodie that I just bought. I like it. It's one of my favorite from one of my favorite stores, Hugo Boss.
Oh,
like a boss.
Yeah, little humble brag there.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this. The quarantine has been going pretty good. We're down here in Maryland, in my house in Maryland, and we have the horse farm here, so the kids are doing well. They're riding horses. The wife and all of my kids are riding horses every single day. The only problem, and probably the biggest problem across the country, has been the homeschooling and trying to figure out what math actually looks like in 2020 opposed to 1991 when I was trying to figure out math and things like that. So it's a whole different world. First grade math is real. I'll tell you that.
Are you smarter than a first grader, Brian Westbrook? No.
Apparently I'm not. I'll tell you that. Apparently I'm not.
How long have you been into the horse game? I didn't know you had a horse farm. Do you have race horses? Is chill horses? What type of horses do you have?
Yeah, so we own performance horses, so they're not race horses. There's an equestrian event called reining, And so we do all the reining stuff. And so a lot of quarter horses, not thoroughbreds, just like that. Yeah, you should do that more often. That's a really good, that gives you the horse emotion right there. So it's pretty cool. I've owned a horse farm for about 15 years now. So it's been some time. We got him.
Are you good on a horse?
I am, man. I'm a pretty good rider. I mean, being athletic certainly helps. And being fearless certainly helps a little bit. I'm watching my kids do the same crazy things that I did when I was a little bit younger, which scares me to death watching them do it. But, of course, when you're doing it yourself, it's no big issue at all.
Are you from Maryland originally, or where are you from?
Yeah, I'm from Maryland. I'm from Fort Washington, Maryland, right outside of D.C. I went to high school in Hyattsville, Maryland at DeMatha Catholic High School, so a good high school there. But, I'm right back at home. But I'm usually in New York, and so usually we're in Brooklyn, New York for the most part. But these last few months, we've been in Maryland.
Smart, because I've heard in New York, if you're not a tenant of it, we have a friend who has a girlfriend, very deep relationship, who lives in an apartment complex, and he can't get in the building. They actually tell him, you can't come in here, sir. You guys can go do your little thing out there on that park bench, but can't go too far. But you guys can do your thing, and then you go it's crazy in New York. We're obviously T's and P's for everybody over there. Let's talk about some football, shall we? Clyde Edwards-Hilaire was drafted to the Kansas City Chiefs. Andy Reid said, he reminds me of Brian Westbrook. And he said, basically, as soon as I saw a little Brian Westbrook in him, I was like, that's our guy. Let's go and get it. Massive compliment from Andy Reid, by the way, to be like, hey, if we can find somebody like Brian Westbrook, let's get him. And how do you feel about that? Do you know anything about his game? Are you excited to see what Andy Reid's going to be able to do with him? And what do you expect Andy Reid to do with him, since he's actually saying, in my offense, Brian Westbrook is basically the same guy?
Well, here's a pretty cool story. And so the draft was on Thursday. Edwards-Hilaire got drafted towards the end of the first round there. I think probably last pick in the first round. And so apparently Brett Veach, who is a GM in Kansas City, but I played against him in college when he was at Delaware and I was at Villanova. And then he came to the Eagles and worked for Andy Reid as his assistant while I was still there. And so I know those guys very, very well. And, of course, I know Andy Reid pretty well. At some point during the draft, either Brett Veach or Andy Reid said to a local newspaper or TV station that this kid, Edwards-Hilaire, is better than Brian Westbrook.
Whoa!
And so Friday morning, he got picked up in the draft Thursday night. Friday morning, I get a call on my phone from Brett Veach. And I'm like, what does Brett Veach want? And I hadn't heard the comments at that point. He said, I was just calling you to let you know that we weren't saying that. That's not what we were saying. We were saying that he has a lot of Brian Westbrook in him, and Andy wants to talk to you. So about 5 minutes later, of course, Andy calls. And I have nothing but love for Andy Reid and Brett Veach and those guys out there. Spent so much time with them. And we're kind of chopping it up for 15 minutes. He's like, listen, I just want to let you know, I would never compare players. That's not my thing. Veach kind of put him in a jam just a bit, but I love Andy Reid. I appreciate the fact that he called. The other thing, when I see the player, I see quickness, I see speed, I see elusiveness. I see a guy that if you put him in space, it's going to be very hard to tackle him. And I just start to think about the Kansas City Chiefs as a team, and you have to consider space makers. Tyreek Hill, space maker. You talk about Travis Kelce, space maker. If you get Sammy Watkins back, space maker, because teams have to account for speed and their ability to run after the catch. And now you bring on Edwards-Hilaire, and you're talking about a guy out of the backfield that can catch very well, can make a guy miss, always going to make the first man miss. And Andy Reid, and listen, I'm very, very biased, but Andy Reid, better than any other coach in the league, understands space and how to create space for his players. We see that with all the yards after the catch that Kelce and Hill get. And listen, you put this kid in that offense, and I just think that this is a dream come true for Andy Reid, but also Patrick Mahomes and Edwards-Hilaire, because he's going to have a great opportunity to carry the rock, touch it in a lot of different ways, screen game, the passes out of the backfield, the same way that Andy Reid used me. I'm excited about that offense. And how many weapons can one of the best offenses in the league have?
Well,
it seems kind of crazy.
And they have a quarterback who can do everything. I mean, he can literally do, he has zero drawbacks in his game. He can dink and dump if he has to. He can run. He can throw the deep ball. He can sprint backwards 30 yards and throw it 70 yards down the field in the Super Bowl whenever you need it. It's like, how do they have enough balls for everything they have. It feels as if they do, though, and that's because of Andy Reid's big-ass brain, I'd assume.
Yeah, Andy Reid just does a great job of spreading it around. And I think the guys understanding. One of the things that he taught us was that, listen, you may not have 200 yards every game. You might not have 20 touches every single game. Make the most of your touches. Make the most of your opportunities. And this week may not be your week, but next week may be. Just make sure that you're ready at all times. And I think winning kind of cures it all. So no matter how many touches you get, as long as you're winning, that's the most important part.
If he's better than you, I'll be pumped up. I mean, that's what a professional NFL person said, is he's going to be better than you. I just want to let you know that. If he does that.
Here's the other thing, Pat. Listen, it took me, 9 years to perfect my craft. And this kid, and I'm telling Andy Reid this kid that's coming out of college is already better than me. That's a lot of props for a young kid, and I hope that he goes out there and does some tremendous things for Andy Reid.
Hey, let's see his ass on a horse, though. He can't do a damn thing.
That's right.
Eagles Hall of Famer, and already saying, what do you think happened with LeSean McCoy last year? He was on the team. They said they were saving him till later, and then they never really did. Him and Andy Reid have a great relationship. Now I think he's on the market, I believe. He's still on the market right now looking for a home. But what happened with LeSean McCoy? Do you think it just wasn't the right offense for him at this particular time? What was it?
Well, I think it was a great offense. And LeSean flourished in that offense in Philly, and I think he's the type of ball player that would flourish in any offense. The biggest thing is that Damian Williams started playing out of his mind. You look at the playoff run, and really towards the end of the season, he was catching the ball. He was running the ball well when asked to do that. And then that playoff run into the Super Bowl, he was playing out of his mind. And so there wasn't any big opportunities for LeSean McCoy to kind of help the team in that way. The other part is, as we all get older, and I experienced, and I'm sure you experienced, at some point your body catches up to you. And I think that he probably needed some time off just to get his body going. And Andy Reid gave him that time off during the season. And then, again, Williams just went crazy, and it was just hard to get him off the field. I think this year would be a great opportunity for LeSean to get in a backup role on the team and help a team as a veteran presence, a great pass blocker, a guy that can catch out of the backfield and still be able to carry the ball 10, 12 times a game. And he will get that opportunity this year because I've seen him train. I know that he's in shape. I know that his legs are back underneath him. So I'm super excited for him and looking forward to see what happens next in his career.
LeSean McCoy and I, whenever we run the ball, we carry the ball very similar. Way out here.
Hey, listen, I've been trying to teach his kids. So, again, I was in my 8th year when he became a rookie to the Eagles. And from day one, I was like, listen, you got to hold the ball tight because these defenders will snatch it out. And maybe a couple times here and there that has happened. But for the most part, for a guy that carries the ball so loosely, he's so elusive and makes people miss so much that the defenders, they're not worried about the ball. They're trying to figure out how to get him on the ground by themselves. And he's been very successful throughout his years being able to carry the ball that way. I remember, much to my dismay.
Yeah, to everybody's, by the way. I remember his first 2-3 years in the league, all anybody was talking about, that's going to get him. Once a fumbler, always a fumbler. And he has fumbled before. So in the way he holds it, that's not what you're going to do. And then it got to a point where everybody was like, well, that's how LeSean McCoy does it. But it literally just completely changed. Let's talk about behind you here, okay? You got a horse farm. You got a champion horse, it looks like. That son of a bitch is up there on the other side. Nope. Oh, what's that up there?
Where you see? Well, this here, I'll grab it for you. This here is
I'm talking about the
trophy that
one
of my reigning horses won. So the reigning horses, they slide. So they slide, they kind of drag the butt on the ground and they slide. One of my reigning horses won this trophy years ago. What year is this? 2012. So one of my horses won that. It was a good time. You see up here is all the footballs you get. Your player of the week footballs, and so I put some of them up there. I got something really cool I'm going to show you. Hold on.
Yeah, let's go. Welcome to Cribs with Brian Westbrook. He's got a horse that.
So back in the day, we were at the Pro Bowl, and one of the guys I looked up to, and I guess you see the Jaguars helmet. Can you guess the player?
Fred Taylor.
Oh yeah. 28. I don't know if it's coming up clearly, but it's 28. Fred Taylor, one of my favorite players of all time. Not that our games are very similar because he had speed, he had power. I mean, he can do it all. I think he's a Hall of Famer in my opinion. But this is one of my prized possessions because he gave this to me after the game. He said, I appreciate your game. I see what you're able to do as a player, and I love it. And I, of course, I long admired his game. He gave that to me after the Pro Bowl. So it's one of those things I keep here. It's not because they played for the Jaguars, which absolutely sucked recently, but it's because Freddie T is the man.
It seems like, by the way, they're trying to suck. Next year, they brought in the Skycam Mike Glennon. They got Minshew Mania. Now, listen, Glennon, good guy. Had a beer with him. Good man. But it feels like they are at the point where they don't really – we have to get to a break on radio. Will you hang on for a second?
Sure.
Radio, we'll see you in 5 minutes. If you want to continue the conversation with Brian Westbrook, go to youtube.com/The Pat McAfee Show. We appreciate you so much. We'll see you on the other side. No, do they have to run some stuff here? So the horse drags its ass, huh? Okay, I'm just trying to pass time.
You're good.
Yeah, we're clear.
You're good, yeah.
Yeah, we're clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're clear.
Yeah, we're back. There we go. Now we're clear. All right, we just found out we're clear on radio. You can swear if you need to. I'm not saying you do. You own a horse farm with kids. I'm assuming you pretty buttoned up over there. How many ponies you got out there in the pasture?
So we're on the farm. We have 50 acres. Right now I have 10 horses there, which are probably about 9.5 too many. I'll tell you that, because you can only ride one at a time. So
How many?
It's a pain in the butt.
What was that movie I watched?
Horse Sense.
Horse Sense. Have you ever seen the movie Horse Sense, where it's a white movie, very white movie? The guy named Joe. What is his name? Joey.
I don't remember, but Flash was the name of the horse.
Hey, horses are like little. They're big ass dogs. You could teach them to do basic. Like you get your horse to. They're like an awesome animal from what I heard, but a big pain in the ass. Is that accurate?
Well, I'll tell you this. They are like a dog in a lot of different ways. And you can teach them anything. If you have time and patience, you can teach them anything, and they will absolutely perform and do it. Then that's why we're kind of in the business. But, from time to time, they will jump on the other side of the fence. And the saying, the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. Well, here's the deal. There are many times where our horses are in the pasture and they have plenty of grass. However, they want that blade of grass on the other side of the fence, and they will find a way to get over there. And so we spend a lot of time putting fence posts and fence boards back up, but that's part of the deal.
What's the best name? What's your favorite name of your 10 horses?
So I have 2 little mini ponies that I bought for the kids that apparently are wild horses at this point. They're really, really small. My daughter named them Princess and Giddy Up. So that's one of them.
Oh, good name.
2 of them right
Giddy
there.
Up.
My horse that I ride all the time, his name is Don Rico.
Italian one. Okay.
Yeah, and then the last horse, my favorite horse of all time, and I don't own this horse anymore. His name was Hot Rod. I mean, this is a beautiful horse.
Gorgeous.
Long mane, long tail, named Hot Rod.
Mane,
A young lady named Peyton Simmons owns that horse now, but I love that horse. I wish I never had to sell him.
Do you break these horses, or do you have a trainer?
Yeah, we have a trainer. That does everything for us. So we allow the trainer just to figure it out. And we don't do very much breaking, but we do work with the horses early on. So before you break them, before they become, a year and a half, 2 years old, we handle them just so that they know that humans are their friends and not their enemies. Yeah.
I'll let you know. I have no idea what break means. I just heard one person say it before on a television show about horses. I have no idea what that means. Brian, I can't thank you enough for joining us. At some point, whenever we build up our friendship enough, I would like to come get out there on Don Rico.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. And bring some balls. You can kick me some balls. I can relive my old days when I was punt returning.
On the pasture, run with the ponies. Me in the 10 ponies coming down on coverage. Now,
if you kick the ball, I ride with the ponies and I run with the ponies and I catch it on the horse.
Are you fucking kidding me? Did we just create the most majestic punt return or kickoff return in history? I think so. Brian, I appreciate you, ladies and Jalen Hurts getting drafted to the Philadelphia Eagles. Do you hate this or love this?
I can see how he would be useful. I think that he can help because you always need a backup quarterback, especially when Carson Wentz has some of the injury history that he's had. The problem that I have is that the Eagles needed weapons. They needed weapons to help surround Carson Wentz. And let me show you the weapons that they have. Deshaun Jackson, 33, coming off core muscle surgery. Alshon Jeffrey, 30, coming off of plantar fasciitis, and I think he might have had a foot surgery. I think he did. You have Zach Ertz, who was a great tight end. Dallas Goedert, young, up-and-coming tight end. And after that, that's it. And so now you go and get Jalen Reagor in the first round, which I think he'll help you I'm not sure that he's a number one right away. And then in the second round, you have an opportunity to find another receiver that can help you right away, or another player that can help you right away. And Jalen Hurts is drafted to be a backup. And really, to me, you pay your quarterback, $107 million guarantee. You're expecting him to be that guy. And you just need to find weapons for him, not to find someone to back him up. And so if I was running the draft, I still would have got a backup quarterback, not in the second round. I would have got him in the 4th, 5th round, and probably got another receiver, Denzel Mims, who was still on the board at the time. It was probably a guy I would have targeted to try to help our quarterback out just a bit.
And that's why you're a genius, ladies and gentlemen. Brian Westbrook.
Thanks,
Cheers,
guys.
man. Yep, you got it. Zito, ad read on the way out.
Yep. Yo, what's up? If you're listening right now, I want you to take a second look, Don. What's funny, Jay?
Zeke.
What's up?
Just a little bit more gangster Zeke here, huh?
It's my new role I've been working on.
Gangster Zeke?
Gangsta Zeke.
Is this a shot gang thing?
I think it is.
Yeah.
Big war coming up tomorrow.
Well, with who?
You know who.
Who?
You took one down yesterday.
Green alien right to the head.
Right to the head.
Sniped, dead on the streets.
When was the last time you shaved your junk? It's been a while, don't lie. Let's take a second and thank our sponsor, Manscaped, for holding you accountable to get rid of the funk and shaving up that junk. Oh, yeah.
Baby Zeke.
That boy Zeke.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Nick?
Keep going.
All right. Manscaped is the only men's brand dedicated to below-the-waist grooming and hygiene. Ah, jeez. Do not read. Manscaped is forever changing the grooming game with the Perfect Package 3.0 Essential Kit. The perfect tools for your family jewels. The Perfect Package 3.0 comes with the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0, waterproof cordless body trimmer, and tons of other liquid formulations to round out your Manscaped routine. This third-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to prevent Manscaped accidents. Millions of balls are about to be nickel-free thanks to Manscaped advanced skin-safe technology. Can I call to action?
Yeah, I'm reading about an incredible debacle that happened in the NFL's instant replay.
Yeah.
Can't wait to talk about this. I'm sorry, Zeke.
That's a great tease.
Call to some action. Yeah, it's coming right after this action call. That a boy
after.
Zeke, gangster Zeke. That a boy.
Hey, Tom, Pat. Get 20% off free shipping.
I told him don't.
What are you, dog? Stupid.
Come on.
Get 20% off and free shipping with the code America at Manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at Manscaped.com and use code America. You're part of your body and your balls. Well, thank you.
That a boy. Thank you, Manscaped. To the best. Thank you, Zeke.
Thank you.
Okay, so Dean Blandino, it's a Yahoo Sports article. By the way, Yahoo Sports still exists. Big news. We had Charles Robinson on a couple weeks ago. Great conversation. Did not know Yahoo Sports still existed. They do. They just wrote an entire article here on Dean Blandino explaining a situation where their replay setup in centralized setup world in New York had a plug-in, like an outlet, a power outlet plug-in. Okay, I guess you just, in my head now after hearing this story and that I'm going to tell you, I think of the Christmas story where the old man has everything plugged into one little extension cord or whatever thing, extendo cable thing. Because it was alleged here, and it's told by Dean Blandino, who was the head of reviews at the time, that somebody unplugged said thing and put a microwave in so they could maybe charge up a Hot Pocket or maybe some popcorn or something of that nature on Thanksgiving. And for 2 minutes, they had zero access to said game. They would not have been able to. For 2 minutes, they were completely down. We took the microwave, plugged it in, but they plugged it into the same outlet, the same circuit that the replay system was plugged into. And when they turned the microwave on, the whole thing went down. So we were down for maybe 2 minutes while they fixed it. The game was going on, but thankfully we didn't have any replay reviews. But we kind of shut down the system because we wanted to heat up the stuffing for Thanksgiving. By the way, stuffing is the right thing that you would want to potentially blow every single replay moment for. And they said for Thanksgiving, the microwave. By the way, Lions went on to win that game against the Vikings. Wow. 16-13. Darius Slay had a thrilling interception. He got traded out of town, by the way, for a bag of balls here just recently. And that is a moment that I think if we could get the behind-the-scenes look at the replay operations in the NFL, this is even more reason. The fact that a microwave and stuffing could take down the entire operation. Last year they had Alberto Stooge River on in there. This replay system needs a complete rehaul. And let's start with a couple more power outlets to get this thing started. Now, if I'm the Vikings, though, I am potentially protesting that Lions victory on Thanksgiving, which doesn't happen often. We're back on the other side for radio. Hour 1 wrapping up. Jeff Passan in Hour 2. This has been the Pat McAfee Show. Now, Foxy.
Pat.
Do you think that your win over the Lions on Thanksgiving, when Darius Slay got that interception, whenever there was no official replay for 2 minutes during said game, is complete bullshit now?
No, Pat. I am so shocked. I am beyond shocked after you said that the Lions didn't get in a situation where something had to be reviewed. They got screwed over because they couldn't be reviewed and lost that game. I am so shocked.
This is the first time in a long time that the Lions or anything from Detroit has been on the positive side of a potential debacle, right? I mean, Detroit, for whatever reason, always seems to fall at the ass end of a debacle as opposed to the head of the debacle.
I'll just name a couple for you right now. The Cowboys playoff game. When there was a pass interference, refs grabbed the flag because Des Bryant ran on the field, waved it off, never seen anything like it. Another one, Seattle Seahawks. Seattle Seahawks. There was a play where we fumbled in the end zone. You can't bat the ball into the back of the end zone. They called a touchback. It should have been like a safety or other way around. You get it. And then the Hail Mary against Rodgers. There was a play where they grabbed. No. Oh, no. Because they're throwing the ball around the place. Rodgers gets horse-collared. And then they have to rerun the play because
and that's when he throws the Hail Mary.
0 seconds left. Hail Mary, Lions lose. And then Monday Night Football this year. I mean, there was 1 billion penalties. I mean, I'm just trying to.
Gary V was there.
Golden Tate on the goal line. When was that? 2 years ago?
Yeah, against the Falcons.
I watched a highlight from years ago from Josh McCown playing slot receiver. And he caught this 45-yard pass, catch and run. They called it back for some phantom pass interference call.
The Lions
stink.
To their credit, though, it feels as if stinky things happen to the Lions as well.
Yeah.
But you are what you are.
Part of the brand.
Part of the brand of the Lions is being in the fuck side of getting fucked on a regular basis.
I mean, that's just how it goes, and that's what I say. Hey, if I wasn't a Lions fan, I'd probably have 0 grit in my entire life. So,
hey, by the way, that's business, baby.
That's business, baby.
Let's go to Rocky over here in Oregon. What's going on, Rocky?
Hey, Pat, how's it going?
Adrian.
Hey, so I'm from California originally, and I currently live in Oregon. But with college football being what kind of seems like almost stopped in California, what are we going to see happen to college recruits and big time recruits that are going to USC, UCLA, and Stanford? Are they going to start dropping out and using the transfer portal?
That's a great question, actually, by old Rocky. Because Mike Bone, our guy, formerly of Cincinnati, now at USC, said that everything that you're hearing is all speculation. We are still in conversations with Alabama to have our game as planned. Because with California doing a stay-at-home orders for another 3 to 4 months, that's a long-ass fucking time, by the way. 3 to 4 more months at least now. And by the way, California, we just know that inside of America does not like that people are getting the coronavirus and dying, and your population is massive and it's being shut down. We don't. Our world is starting to open back up though. Like it is really starting to happen. So now we're living in 2 very different worlds, and that includes we're in the Big Ten country, SEC, Big 12. A lot of those conferences, a lot of their teams are in places that are saying, "Hey, green flag racing here." Florida governor says, "Come on in." Arizona says, "Come on in." Texas is wide open. So now the conversation is if the California schools, who aren't relevant in the football landscape right now, none of them are. Not a single one of the California schools are relevant in the football landscape right now. It's not. It used to be when USC was massive. Stanford was making a big run. UCLA, I guess, way back in the day, used to make some real runs. Chip Kelly's trying to turn that thing around. I understand that they have history, but right now, not a single one of them mean a damn thing. So now you're asking all these other college conferences to be like, hey, California can't play. Also, Northeast can't play. How do you feel about it? And they're like, well, we are unified. We are unified. We are unified. Until they aren't unified, because they'll be unified, that we can fucking play just because they can't. And I think that's going to be a potential downfall for the California teams. And if their recruits do start hopping in the transfer portal, Mac McClung, by the way, basketball player, Georgetown, in the transfer portal. Just watch all his highlights last night. What a fucking electric factor. How come I didn't know that guy existed?
He was big on the internet too before college.
He's a basketball player. But anyways, in the football world, if you're there, why aren't you hopping in the transfer portal? Could this hurt UCLA, USC, Stanford, these Cal for years to come? Because recruits right? This is an entire class that potentially is just going to go somewhere else. They already signed their letter of intent, so they have to go. But you could hop in the transfer portal. That's a great call by Rocky. What does the future look like in California if their sports aren't allowed to be playing while many others are? That's a wild time.
Well, and if they sign somewhere and they're not on campus yet, will they grant them a release to go elsewhere?
Will Mark Emmert say, hey, listen, you couldn't have known this was going to happen whenever you decide to go to USC or UCLA, who's trying to build their program back up, and you're a great 5-star recruit? Maybe you go somewhere else. Woo. T's and P's, California and California sports. We're back on the radio in 2 seconds. Good morning, beautiful people. It is Thursday, May 14th, and we can't thank you enough for watching and listening wherever the hell you may be. That's my name. That's AJ Hawk taking a dump on a throne of cigars and lighters, and we are talking about all things sports in a world where there's not a lot of sports happening. Last night, a guy's face got beaten like with a couple shovels from another guy, and his team refused to let him quit, and now people are calling for his team's head, basically, to not be allowed because they almost let their guy die. Joining us at Nick Morales, at Tone Diggs, Ty Schmidt, Jason McAfee, Viva Lazito, Evan Foxy, and Boston Connor, fresh out of Virginia. Last day of the mutton chops. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's right. So this is the last day of these old chops right here.
Yeah, the chops have made you much more attractive, and you've gotten into the keto diet and probably lived a much better life than you've ever lived in your entire life with those chops. And now that era is coming to an end. Are you a little bit scared you're going to go back to the potential POS that you were before?
Oh, no, sir. I've never changed. I've always been a POS. I always will be. Looking forward to getting back to being a real dumpy POS, though.
What are you going to do with the facial hair next time, sir?
Who knows? I think the mustache has a couple more years in it. It's got some legs, and we'll see what happens when the other facial hair comes back.
I do think you should keep the mustache.
Has to.
If I could grow that type of mustache, I would keep it around immediately. I can't. Mine looks like it's pubic hair growing below my nose, above my lips. And that's a problem that I have.
It's difficult to grow a good stash. I'll tell you what. It's in my blood.
There's something on I almost got influenced into buying it the other day. It's a roller that I guess it how they do it on greens, how they what's that, aerate. They do that for your face, I guess, and it helps grow your hair back or whatever. Seemed like snake oil to me. I didn't buy it.
Trust that.
I didn't get influenced into buying it. I want to let you know, I looked at it. I thought it would affect me and help me, and I saw the price, and it was something that I would buy. And I said, no, you're not lying to me. But I did buy that bang it up. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? Boss Rutan has this UFC fighter thing. It's got a head that sticks out like this, and it's got a body thing and a couple rib cages. I got influenced into buying that about 2, 3 a.m., about, 70 pots deep.
Do you just wail on it, or is there like a class that Boss teaches that you follow along with?
Well, if I hear him going bang it up, body, head, crotch. I'll do what I got to do, but I did get influenced into buying that. Right. I've been learning that I've been a little bit more of an influencee than an influencer lately. Been pulling the trigger on a lot of stuff, but that thing for the beard, I did not pull the trigger, Ty.
But you're still doing good.
Yeah. Jeff Passan joins us in 13 minutes. This will be our first baseball person coming on the show.
Yeah.
Am I nervous? Potentially. What's that, Connor?
No, there's nothing, sir. I think we might have had one baseball on before, but that's okay.
Oh, yeah. Tucker Barnhart.
Oh, Tucker's our guy. That's friend, though. Okay, so Tucker Barnhart, our friend. Clayton Anderson, currently not our friend. No. Tucker Barnhart, our friend. And the Jeff Passan guy, insider for the MLB. Doesn't sound like that league's going to kick back up. If you listen to any of the players, we'll talk to him about that. The NBA seems to be taking steps towards reopening. Now, Florida governor opens just like Arizona governor said, hey, professional sports and major leagues are. Now, Arizona, in their words, where major league sports are allowed to open back up. So they're saying baseball, right? Major league and soccer, sorry. By the way, for those that are coming after me for not talking about soccer, I was better than you at soccer, so shut up. I don't want to hear it. That happened the other day. But they say major league sports are allowed to come back to Arizona. So are they recruiting the baseball? Mm-hmm. And then Florida's like professional sports are allowed to come back. So they're like, hey, basketball guys, come on down here. Because the thought is that the NBA play-in tournament for teams 7 to 10, then they have an entire bracket, and the stars of the NBA sound like they want to get back to this thing. Although Shaq and Charles Barkley came out and said, let's not do it. All the players, and Mark Cuban even was like, hey, if we can do this, let's get this done. Mark Cuban, by the way, potentially coming on this show within the next couple of days.
Ooh. Mark?
Have Mark Cuban and I exchanged emails? Answer. Yes.
Whoa!
No way. Yes. Come on. Yep. Me and
Mark Cuban?
Me and Shark Mark. What? Okay. Me and Shark Mark, who I've watched handle business deals on the television, who I saw come from Pittsburgh, come to Indiana, think of something innovative, get very wealthy, and then go on to be a very successful owner, a charismatic owner, great personality, and once probably a president at some point in their existence, Mark Cuban. He and I have exchanged emails.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool, and that's strictly because I misquoted him. And whenever I misquoted him, I said that he didn't want the season to come back. Turns out he does. A lot of main players do. And Florida's like, please come do it here. Las Vegas and Florida are potentially going to be bidding on this NBA tournament now. So will some of the audience and fan fees that they're losing out on be made up for by said casino that said they'll do it, or maybe Disney World they'll say they do it, because that's going to be a lot of promotion for their casinos, getting a lot of promotion for their setup, a lot of promotion. Not Disney World needs any more promotion. They got enough, and the Orlando airport is the worst place on potentially Earth, that place. Potentially it's like the Orlando people that built the Orlando airport had no idea that Mickey Mouse was running his entire operation right down the road. The entire world comes into this place, and it's just, there's no direction. Foxy took an escalator out of the airport.
I did.
Foxy, it's just but will they pay the NBA to have that happen? Will Arizona pay the MLB to have their spring training out there? Because it sounds like they're going to need a lot more money if you want the MLB players to play. And for the NBA, it seems like the guys just want a chance to play. They're going to make a lot of money, but that tournament will be electric. And I think that Florida's trying to make a real run at this thing right now.
Are they still going to be, at the NBA at least, is it going to be one centralized location? Have they ruled out it being in Vegas and Orlando and then
I would assume. Now, could be both places, especially if both places are offering up money to do it. They might be able to work a little business negotiation there. But I would assume it'd be in one place, because their big thing is we're trying to do this as safely as possible, and we want them all locked in. You have to get tested on your way in, tested on your way out. If they were to travel back and forth, I think that would kind of defeat the purpose of what they're trying to grandstand on, which is we're doing this safely and we're getting back. So I think it'll be in one place or the other. I would assume the players want it to happen in Vegas. I would assume that the owners will take it wherever it wants to be at. But look for Vegas and Florida, potentially Disney World, and what's that one on the end, MGM?
I believe it was MGM.
Look for Walt Disney, okay, Mickey Mouse and the boys and girls to be battling against MGM casinos for who is going to get the NBA tournament. And it seems like that's much more closer to happening than the MLB.
Yeah, the MLB.
It just feels right.
Would baseball want to come back more, you think, if they were, halfway through the season and there were guys in first and last?
Oh, yeah. If they had already started and already made some money, yes. I think everything is going to revolve around the MLB players and the amount of money they're not getting, as opposed to the money that they could have earned before the COVID-19, the Rona came through on everything. So I think that is the biggest difference. The NBA guys already made a lot of their money, and then whenever it was time to get not a lot, they made 60%. I would assume it was 65, 70%.
They're pretty far through.
They only had 5 or 6 weeks left in the season.
So 70%, probably 75% of the season or whatever. They're already through, so they got a big payday already. They already got their checks or whatever. Now they just had to stay in shape and kind of do this whole thing. I assume that if the MLB was the same way, it would be very similar to what you're saying. The MLB just didn't even get a chance to start. I mean, it kind of started. There's people booing the Astros. There were signs getting stolen from the crowd for bringing in signs saying that the players were stealing signs. I mean, there was a lot going on. There was a lot of controversy. What's going on with the Astros? That never got handled. Red Sox, okay, this guy manager for his work in Houston doing this, but that kind of got covered up. Now the whole talk is, do we get back in the game? And the MLB players are saying, nah, not doing it, pal. But the NBA is 22 or 30 of our facilities are going to be open up on Monday. Good luck. Something that hasn't been talked about at all, that should be talked about. Dustin Johnson and Rory McIlroy will be taking on Ricky Fowler and a guy named Matthew Wolff in golf this weekend on Sunday in a skins match for charity. Now, it seems as if for the eye that I have for golf, as a casual viewer of golf, hey, what am I doing on Sunday? I got nothing going on. All right, let me go ahead and and I'm going to turn on NBC or CBS, whatever they're on this week, and I'm going to listen to in the background, and then I'm going to fall asleep, and I'm going to wake up. What hole are they on? 13. We still got some more time. Okay, they get on 17. I'm up. Here we go. As a casual viewer of golf, it sure feels like Dustin Johnson and Rory McIlroy are going to kick the ass out of Ricky Fowler and Matthew Wolff. I don't know who that second guy even is. So that could potentially be a problem for me. Ricky Fowler, though, he's the guy that looks really cool all the time, right? Has great costumes whenever he's golfing, good mustache. Used to be a dirt bike guy, right? Cool guy. He never wins, though, right?
Kind of a notorious choker.
Yeah, Rory McIlroy used to have that, and then he started winning. Dustin Johnson is a savage, and this Matthew Wolff guy, I don't even know if he's old enough to drink. I don't know how these teams are anywhere near fair, but it's happening on Sunday. So while the whole world has heard about Tiger and Peyton versus Phil and Tom, these four are just sitting back like, yeah, we're playing this weekend, but we don't want anybody to know about it. We just want you to potentially happenstance about it. And I'm going to watch it on Sunday, and I can't wait for it. And I think if I'm betting on this, I am taking the entire operation we have as a business and putting it on Dustin Johnson and Rory McIlroy. So that's what you guys have to deal with. If this guy that I've never heard of and this dirt bike rider beat those two, we potentially don't have a business anymore because I'm hammering that.
Whoa.
Oh, do it.
Where is it? Found his hammer.
Oh! I will tell you this.
Hammer time.
Heard some inside information this morning. You would think Rory and DJ both very, very long off the tee. The course they're playing at Seminole kind of takes the driver out of their hands. So, something to think about.
Yeah, but old DJ, I mean, he hits the ball so far, all he has is short shots. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Whenever you hit the ball far, that means you normally have pretty good hands. Now, will his long irons potentially be a problem? I mean, maybe, but he's in the Gretzky family now at this point. Literally in the Gretzky family. They'll help him get through this.
DJ will get there.
Does he care?
He'll get there. It's just his putting you got to worry about.
Oh, yeah, I remember he missed that real short one that one time. But have you ever seen Matthew Wolff pick up a putter? Have you ever seen Matthew Wolff hit anything? Never. I didn't even know the guy existed.
We didn't even know this match existed until this morning.
Yeah.
And we're a sports show. By the way, I'm going to play golf. I'm not going to golf. Have a little respect for the sport. You don't go to basketball. You go to play basketball. Tiger Woods said that. He's also in a golf tournament coming up that everybody knows about. This one, nobody has a clue. It's happening on Sunday. Let's go. TaylorMade Driving Relief Skins match. TaylorMade needs to get a better PR company because I didn't even know this existed.
know.
We'll try to pump this as much as we could, mostly because I want to gamble on this. We have to get to a break, and we got Jeff Passan, MLB Insider. We're going to play the Blake Snell video for him. I want his instant reaction to that. And I want to know if the MLB has any shot of coming back. Sure seems like not. Nobody's going to be able to win Rob Manfred's piece of metal this year, I think. And that's a real problem. It is Thursday, May 14th. I have no idea why, but you're listening and watching The Pat McAfee Show. Your motivational speech for our listeners to come back to McAfee and Hawk, a sports show, tomorrow.
So, yeah, I'm not doing the inspirational thing. You like to do this and try to paint me into a corner and get all your little buddies to cheer and rally around and have the sarcastic cheer for me to do something like that.
No, that's not what we do at all. You don't know us at all.
So, yeah, I know your game. I'm older than all of you, too, I believe. So, like, it's not like I'm the little brother that you're taking advantage of. That's what you try to do here in these moments. I know.
No.
So, I could hearing the guys' voices in the background. AJ. But, yeah, I think right now we're in the weirdest time ever, Pat. We really are.
Yeah, we are.
It's a brutal, weird time. Stop clapping for me. It's not a motivational talk.
Yeah, it is. Let's go.
You have a 10 to 12 radio show still every day, correct?
Oh, yeah, I do.
So yeah, and most likely at 1 p.m. daily, we're going to go on here and we're going to talk about what's going on and see free agency in the world.
Where's a wall for me to run through? Thank you for that, AJ.
This is so stupid.
That's what we're talking about. AJ Hawk, AJ Hawk, AJ Hawk, AJ Hawk, AJ Hawk.
Look good, feel good, play good.
Play good, pay good, live good, die good. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show here, Thursday, May 14th. Big time baseball show. Everybody knows that. Always have been, always will be. I am currently holding the bat that I used in a Frontier League game for the Washington Wild Things, who ended up winning the silver medal of the entire Frontier League. Starting right fielder Pat McAfee. Joining us now, MLB insider for ESPN and a man that we've been watching on the television basically every single morning on Get Up. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Passan.
Yeah, Jeff! Big Jeff!
Boy, Jeff!
Let's go, Jeff! Yeah, Jeff!
Hey, Jeff, let's go!
Come on, Jeff!
What's going on, bud?
Can I tell you something, Pat?
Yeah, buddy.
I told my son this morning that I'm going on the Pat McAfee Show. My son's 12 years old, big-time football fan, loves Madden, and he looks at me and he goes, "Really?" It's like I had actually made it to him. I was like, yes. And he said, I swear to you, he said this. I wanted to bring him into my office today to say it face to face to you. He was embarrassed to do so, but he goes, "That guy's a legend." I'm like, damn right he's a legend.
Hey, your kid's a legend, and I'll say this. Tell him we said thank you. We're thankful to have you on. We've been watching you basically every morning on Get Up, and I've been very impressed with your ability to make a sport that isn't that interesting very interesting. I just want to let you know that. To a lot of people, baseball has kind of fallen off. But with the way you've talked about it, you're a great personality for the MLB. I hope they know that. I've enjoyed listening to you speak. You're our main source for baseball information at this point.
Well, that's very kind of you to say. And as somebody who has just a little bit of personality yourself, I will take that as a very high compliment.
Bingo. Okay, let's move forward. I want to run you this clip that was used on Twitch by Blake Snell last night. I'm sure you've seen it, but for those who haven't, we have to run this. And then I wanted to talk about this immediately afterwards because it feels like NBA, a lot of optimism coming back. MLB, if you listen to any of the players, it feels like there's not a chance. Let's run this so people can hear it who haven't.
Bro, y'all gotta understand too, cause y'all gonna be like, bro, Blake, play
Jeff.
for the love of the game, man. What's wrong with you, bro? Money should not be a thing. Bro, I'm risking my life. What do you mean it should not be a thing? It 100% should be a thing. If I'm gonna play, I should be getting money I signed to be getting paid. I should not be getting half of what I'm getting paid because the season's cut in half, on top of a 33% cut of the half that's already there.
Come on.
So I'm really getting like 25%. On top of that, it's getting taxed. So imagine how much I'm actually making to play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I ain't making. And on top of that, so all that money's gone. And now I play risking my life. And if I get the Rona, on top of that, if I get the Rona, guess what happens with that? Oh, yeah, that's in my body forever. That damage is not going to be like. The damage that was done to my body, that's going to be there forever.
Until the casket goes.
So now I got to play with that on top of that. So y'all got to understand, man, for me to take a pay cut is not happening because the risk is through the roof. It's a shorter season, less pay. Like, yeah, man, I got to get my money. I'm not playing unless I get mine.
By the way, got to get your chickens, Jeff. This feels as if he could be potentially echoing what a lot of other baseball players are thinking and a lot of other baseball players are saying. I'm very thankful that he came out to say that, by the way, because if you hear the news of the MLB is trying to work back in spring training, cut it to 82, and then you hear the MLB PA basically saying, like, that is not going to happen. What are your kind of inklings on this? Is he representative of what a lot of players are thinking?
Okay, I got three things going on here. Number one, the fact that he said the Rona twice makes me very happy. Number two, Blake Snell signed with the Rays out of high school, and you can tell because 33% of 50% is not 25%. We got to work on the math. Perhaps instead of playing video games, he should be doing a little bit of math lesson. But to the substantive and important point here, his feelings are definitely echoing the sentiment of a lot of players. The problem with this argument is that when you tie money and health together, it just flies in the face of logic. You're telling me that you don't want to go out there and die for X amount of dollars, but for Y amount of dollars, hey, I'll go and run the risk of getting killed. You can't conflate those two things and have it look like this is about anything but money. If the players were smart, they would be on the same path forward. And that path is all we care about is our health and our safety. We all know in the back of our minds that they care about the money. You just don't have to say the quiet part out loud.
And the interesting thing, though, is in baseball, I think more so than any other sport, especially if you're a pitcher who got drafted out of high school, you only have so many throws, right, in that elbow.
Yes.
So that would be a good tie, by the way. If he was like, listen, I don't know how many games I signed a deal with the Rays out of high school, but I don't know how long this elbow is going to last. So now you're asking me to take 17% of my paycheck, then taxes, drop that down to 9% basically on a potential arm that has a shot clock on it at the time. I think that is probably the statement the MLB's PA is going to come out with, as opposed to a Twitch stream release from Blake Snell. And do you? Yeah.
And here's the thing. I mean, Blake Snell signed a long-term contract last offseason, and the beauty of being a baseball player is that all $50 million of what he signed for is guaranteed. But there are plenty of other players, particularly pitchers, like you said, who are going to be coming back and trying to ramp up for a season in like 3 weeks when they normally take 6 weeks. They're going to be going out there and playing games when theoretically, if they're doing their spring training at home ballparks, they're not going to have been in any live game action, which means you're going out there as cold as possible and playing in big league games where you got to be amped up a little bit. Injuries could be a problem. They could be a risk. And that's another thing that I think players are concerned about. And listen, the sentiment that Blake Snell was trying to put out there, actually, I think is fair. Players are taking the risk by going out there that owners are not. Players are taking the risk by traveling, whether it's via plane, via bus, staying in hotels, going into ballparks that presumably have been cleaned and washed from floor to ceiling, but you never know if they missed a spot or if they forgot your locker. All of these things come into play with this. And I think it's fair for them to say, if we're taking a 50% pay cut from the March agreement that we did agree to, then that, is anyone else in baseball taking a 50% pay cut? Like Derek Jeter forewent his salary, but Derek Jeter's worth $250 million or $500 million. I don't see any guys in front offices taking 50% haircuts. I don't see any guys around the sport. So I think the players actually have a logical leg to stand on here. They just got to get their message straight, because the public, for some reason, always sides with owners.
Always.
That is just the way that it goes. The labor is greedy. The millionaires are greedy instead of the billionaires. It's just a fact of the way that America looks at professional sports. And something like this, even if Blake Snell's intention was good, even if he was trying to stand up for what he believes in and for what the other players believe in, it was just said in a fashion and a tone that does not come off well.
I think the tone is probably something that people immediately, because your tone is setting the environment for your statement, right? So the way you deliver something is setting the reaction immediately for what you're being said. I think what he's saying, though, is something that isn't being heard a lot. Like, that is 100% the conversations that are happening within the MLBPA, emails or conference calls and stuff like that. His delivery was something that could put some people off, but I like the information that was coming in there. It sounds like, with the way you're speaking, though, about pitchers coming out of 3 weeks instead of 6 weeks, it feels like you're optimistic that there will be an MLB season of some sort happening. Will that be in Arizona? Because their governor has said, hey, we'll take Major League Sports, come on back. And then the governor's like, wait a minute, any professional sports can come to Florida. Are they in a bidding war right now for where it could potentially be at? And do you feel as if the MLB will have some sort of season going forward? And will the MLBPA allow that to happen?
Well, I think a lot of those things are really intertwined. And here's how it's going to happen. The first thing that has to happen is the league and players have to come to some kind of a deal. They have to figure out two main things, really. The financial aspect and the health and safety aspect. I think the health and safety aspect, they're both on the same page. Nobody wants anyone to get coronavirus. That's not a hard thing to do. And if the players go back to the league and say, we need X, Y, and Z, it's incumbent on the league to come through with that. The financial part, I think it just makes sense for a deal to get done, even though there's this chasm between the two sides, because the alternative, Pat, is disastrous for everybody. If there are no games this year, players are getting only $170 million among themselves to split up among their 1,200 players as part of that March deal. They're not getting anything else. Free agency is a mess this year. They lose a year of their careers. Owners, on the other hand, have no money coming in. There are teams that have loads of debt right now. There's potential bankruptcy. If you get bankruptcies, teams have to be sold. If teams have to be sold, franchise values go down. And MLB simply does not want that to happen. So because the downsides are so bad for both of them, it makes me believe that they're going to come to some sort of a compromise financially to get this going. Then you need to get governors on board. Then you need to get mayors on board. Then you need to get Deborah Birx or Anthony Fauci or some sort of respected health official to come out and say, yes, it's okay what Major League Baseball is trying to do as we reopen this country. All of those things, Pat, have to happen in the next 3 to 4 weeks. And it's a lot to cram in, but I do think it is something that can and should get.
Well, that's just, at least they have a potential biodome, right? They have a potential.
No, I don't think that's happening, man. I think they're out on that. And listen, the Arizona thing was a possibility maybe a month ago, but players said we are not going to be separated from our families. And that's a reasonable and understandable thing to say. Then they were saying, hey, maybe we could do hub cities. We could have 10 teams in Phoenix, 10 in the DFW area, 10 in Tampa, and that sort of fell by the wayside. The problem is the money that's going to be coming into Major League Baseball this year, if in fact they do play, is going to be from two main areas. The first is national television revenue, and that's why they're expanding the playoffs, because they're going to get at least 10 more playoff games, and television networks love airing playoffs. There's also the local television revenue, though, and that's the big part of this that I think a lot of people don't recognize. In a typical year, about $2.5 billion comes in just from local TV contracts, just from airing those 162 games.
Damn.
And the local TV stations want home ballparks. They want to be able to send their crews to local areas, and they want the ambiance of playing in a major league stadium as opposed to some sort of minor league stadium that you might have to with an Arizona or a Texas or a Florida. So because of that, playing in home stadiums is vitally important to this plan working. But the issue, of course, is that it adds travel, and travel can be problematic and adds a whole nother layer of issues on top of the complications already.
And they got 3 to 4 weeks to figure this all out?
Yeah, a lot of people working on it, though. A lot of people, I think, motivated to do this. There is optimism, but as everything these days, man, it is very cautious optimism.
So, Jeff, where does that leave teams like the Yankees and the Dodgers, who are in a much different spot than the rest of the league in terms of having their games at home this season? Like, I assumed they would be operating under the assumption that they were going to have to play at their spring training facilities.
You know, I don't know if we're there quite yet. There's been some hope in New York that they would be able to play games at Yankee Stadium and at Citi Field. If they don't, then the Yankees could just go down to Tampa and either play games there, or they could have the scheduling such that when the Rays are home, the Yankees are on the road. When the Rays are on the road, the Yankees play at Tropicana Field. You know, you can almost have backup schedules. California is the complicated one, though, because there are 5 teams in California. And if Gavin Newsom, the governor, says we will not have baseball played in California until this thing clears out or until we have a better sense of what it's going to look like, then that means you have 5 teams displaced. Maybe 1 or 2 of them go to Phoenix. Maybe all 5 go to Phoenix. But we could have this shared city situation. I think that's one of the things that politically, behind the scenes, Rob Manfred's trying to work through right now.
Why do you call the trophy a piece of metal? Has that ever been talked about?
It's funny. I was there when the interview was happening. Carl Ravitch. We were at a spring training complex. It was the National complex, and there was a door closed, and I was listening to the conversation, like leaning into the door like the kid
Insider.
With a cup against it to hear his parents fighting. And I heard him say a piece of metal, and I just went, oh no. Listen, there's no excuse for it. I think he recognized how badly he screwed up. This is not an excuse. It was really early in the morning. I know before 7 o'clock, about 50% of the words I speak don't make any sense. So he was running more like a 2% don't make sense. They were just a wrong 2%.
Okay, so let's talk about, I have 2 final things, and I'm very thankful for you coming on here. You are very good at the baseball conversation. Does anybody nobody likes the coronavirus quarantine, okay? Nobody likes it. But I think
that's a bold take right there, Pat.
No, but wait, I'm about to step it back. I think the Houston Astros are not that upset. I think the Houston Astros and their fan base are at a point where it's like, all right, there's no more sign stealing talk. Now it's like, where are we going to be at? That entire thing, is that just going to go away, you think? Or you think even when baseball gets back into it, players, managers, fans will still remember everything that the Houston Astros were doing with their robotic sensors in their trash cans?
Yeah, there is no forgetting that at all. And you know when the Astros go on the road, they're going to get absolutely crushed when fans are back at the stadium. Fans are excited to go to stadiums regardless of who's playing. But when the Astros come to town, you know that even if we have socially distanced fans at that point, you know that's just more seats for them to bang on right there.
Who was the pitcher? Michael
Fires.
Mike Fires?
Is that the guy? He has long hair.
He was the whistleblower, yeah.
No. There's another guy, long hair. He goes by Clevenger. No,
Mike Clevenger.
Mike Clevenger, right? Long hair, kind of like a free spirit, was getting a tattoo, and he was not happy with what the Houston Astros did. Is that sentiment still kind of ring true? And now, do the players, because we heard a couple players open up about it, and me, from being an outside the baseball world, I didn't know if most people did this. I didn't know if this was something like this. But whenever he opened up while getting a tattoo about how mad he was that that was everybody, huh? Everybody was just going to bean the hell out of the Houston Astros, I'd assume?
Yeah, I've never seen anything bring baseball players together quite like their enmity for the Houston Astros. They were not happy. There's this very fine line of cheating in baseball where mild cheating is not cheating, but if you cross it, it's like, what are you doing, you dirty, dirty cheaters? And that's what they looked at the Houston Astros like, that they were dirty, dirty cheaters because they banged a trash can. And of course, on the continuum of what's cheating and what's not cheating, in reality, what the Red Sox and so many other teams did out there trying to steal sign sequences using video and relaying them to people on second base who then would give a sign to someone at home plate what pitch was coming. Like, that's cheating. Banging on the trash can, though, like, that's live relaying to guys at home plate with a pretty high degree of certainty. And because of that, that's really what's stuck in the craw of so many players.
Can't do it. Can't win with it. Won't win with it. Speaking of not winning, why are the Pirates still a member of the MLB? I'm from Pittsburgh, and I have never hated a team more than the stupid Pittsburgh Pirates.
Tell me how you really feel, man.
Sell the team. They should sell the team.
I mean, Bob Nutting needs to sell to Mark Cuban, save the city. That's the only option.
It's the only option. Pittsburgh is a great fan base. It was just voted one of the most loyal and rabid fan bases. Penguins games, insane. Steelers games, insane. But for my entire existence, the Pittsburgh Pirates have stunk, and they've been cheap, and they've just raked in money. I hate them, Jeff. If you can relay that message with your insider news, let them know I do not like them.
Well, as a native Clevelander, Pat, it couldn't have happened to anybody better.
Jeff, I appreciate you. Zito, who does our like name and title things underneath you, it says Jeff Passan, MLB insider, writes for ESPN, and then it says has an Elmo impression and wrote a book, The Arm. I'll buy the book, The Arm, so I can learn a little bit about baseball, even though you're from Cleveland. But this Elmo impression, how long has this been coming about, and why is this something that you read about, Zito? Is this a big deal? You got a good Elmo impression, huh?
I do an okay one. Lebitard one day was asking me to do a Sean Connery impression, and I did an absolutely terrible Sean Connery impression. And he asked, do you do any good impressions? And for my children, when they were a little bit younger, I would do an Elmo, except it would be inappropriate Elmo. So it would be Elmo talking about things that Elmo should not be talking about at all. And so he asked me to do the Elmo impression. I did it, and here we are today with you asking me about it.
Well, has to happen.
I mean, what do you want me to say?
Jeff, it has to happen. I mean, say the Houston Astros are dirty, dirty, dirty cheaters.
No. I'm not going to do that. They hate me in Houston already enough. They hate me enough already. I'm not going to do that.
Will you say we have to go to a radio break here on the Pat McAfee Show?
Go to a radio break here on the Pat McAfee Show.
Whoa! I don't know if that's creepy or impressive, ladies and gentlemen. MLB. Man, you made baseball interesting. I appreciate you for that. I watch every morning on Get Up. You're great. I'll read your book, The Arm. Ladies and gentlemen, and an MLB insider from ESPN, Jeff Passan. Hey, tell your kid we said hello and we appreciate him.
I will do that. Take it easy, boys.
No problem. Have a good one. Great Elmo impression.
Great. Yeah. Unbelievable.
And that was an unbelievable Elmo, because I thought he was too high there early that his microphone wouldn't pick it up, because Elmo's way up at an octave range. So it sounds like baseball is going to happen. 3 to 4 weeks of them having to figure out travel. That is a lot to unpack in 3 to 4 weeks. I mean, 3 to 4 weeks, we could be living in a very different world. We have no idea. But, man, that feels like there's potential baseball to happen, because if there isn't a season, he said $170 million for 1,200.
$140,000 apiece. I did the math.
$140,000. Thank you. I was going to ask, did we do the math there? $140,000 a piece to not do anything until survive until next season. I think players might be like, we could take that, right? Because he's supposed to sign for how much? $7,960,000 is what it would have been. $140,000.
Players, some of those other guys that are making $30 million, $38 million,
but they would much rather, I think, make $140,000 and use it as one of their blackjack bets at some point than play 82 games and waste reps on their arm. I don't know if this is going to go through. Jeff is obviously MLB insider. He talks to the MLB side of things. I think if we just listen to what the MLB PA, some of the players leak out, I don't know how they're going to get this done in 3 to 4 weeks. You're going to have to turn old Blake Snell there into a complete believer in the entire thing in 3 to 4, let alone the travel and the stadium and the mayors and the governors and the local towns and the testing that you would have to do. Now you got to get that guy who probably shares the belief of a lot of other players to be like, yeah, you could do this. This will be fun. This is good for the game. Because if not, teams are going to have to go for sale.
I want to know, because they talked about, like, in the proposal, I believe, or whatever the rumor was, that they're going to play the division games, so the teams in your division, and then teams within your vicinity. Like, how far in your vicinity can a team travel?
Yeah, I have no idea. I have no clue. Imagine the Yankees, by the way, selling out down there in Tropicana Field. Aaron Judge.
They already do.
Never do it.
Aaron Judge just pumping out balls down there off the ceiling of the Tropicana Dome. See you later. New York might have paid me $700 million at some point, but down here in Tampa with Tom Brady, gone. He's a massive dude.
Mm-hmm. They'll never do that.
Why?
They'll play at their spring training facility before they play. Tropicana, that place is a dump.
You think the Yankees would rather sell 5,000 tickets instead of potentially 15,000 tickets?
I mean, I don't know how many Yankees fans are. It's like the same thing. Yeah, there are a lot of Yankees fans in Florida, but
they're the Yankees. This is the same thing that happened whenever Rich Rod gave us a speech down in Tampa playing against the USF. We're going to sell at the stadium because we are the hottest thing in football right now. Here's the Yankees hat. They think they've arrived. Not yet. We sell at the stadium. There's a whole thing. They beat us. We never wear those hats again. They're the Yankees. Yankees will still move tickets regardless.
I just don't know if the players are going to be okay with that because playing at Yankee Stadium is a pretty distinct advantage for the hitters, at least.
Are you talking about the
dimensions?
Short porch?
Yeah. They got short porch.
Well, also playing with fans, right? If the
Shout out to
players
Hubs,
are
by the way,
debating
right?
playing in general, then they're not going to want to play with fans in the stands.
Short Porch's podcast.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, about the Yankees, right?
Oh, I didn't think about that.
It is. But it's real. It's a good description.
Tropicana, not a hitter's ballpark.
No, it's not.
Well, I mean, welcome to the modern world.
That's true.
We got to get to a break on radio, I believe. 38 minutes after the hour here. Thanks to Jeff Passan.
Yeah.
Hey, good MLB talk there.
Oh, yeah.
Look at us. We're a sports show.
Hey!
Hey!
Let's
go!
YouTube loved them, which doesn't happen a lot.
By the way, how about me just holding a bat the entire time?
Jordan-esque.
Yeah.
It was. I should have done the...
it was a
the cigar.
You had a couple, though.
On the way back, we will.
Some of these players might not play, Pat. You might be getting a phone call here.
There's a chance that the Birmingham Barons have already reached out to me. Double A.
Whoa.
Same team Jordan played on, White Sox Double A team. They have tweeted me. Am I thinking about taking my talents to Birmingham? Yep. My 333 on base percentage to Birmingham? Maybe. I mean, we're going to have to negotiate something.
Of course.
We'll see how many games are being played, too, because this arm, I don't know how many throws I got in it.
Yeah, I know.
And by the way, I might bat lefty in this game. I don't know if I'm a lefty. I don't know. I have no idea.
You just take it out of the park.
We'll figure it out. Stance looks good.
Looks good.
It does look good.
You know what I'll do? I'll point that bat right at the pitcher. Right at that son of a bitch. Go ahead and pull it. I dare you to pull it over this. Put it in strike zone. It's going out of the park.
Plus,
What?
Double A, because there's the expanding rosters from 30 to 60 in the MLB. So, I mean, the trickle-down effect.
By the way, I go from Frontier League to Double A. There's a Triple A team here in town. If we send them some film potentially, I'm being a majors what? By fourth game of my life?
Probably.
Has anybody else done that?
No.
That's what I thought. 40 minutes after the hour, you listen to the Pat McAfee Show. I don't know why. Okay, let's do, every once in a while, we like to dive deep into a place that everybody says is really normally a positive, upbeat, not a despicable place. The YouTube comment section for some YouTube question.
YouTube question.
Zeta, who we talking to about what and what are they asking?
All right. We have a good one here from McFasser. He goes, what's the most ridiculous parting story Pat has heard from a teammate from another NFL player?
Ooh, partying story?
Yeah.
I thought it was parting.
Oh.
Well, Vontae Davis retired at halftime. That's probably the best parting story I've ever heard in my entire. Hey, dog, this is a young man's game, bro. I ain't got it no more. I'm out, dog. Vontae Davis, I can't wait till his first appearance on this show. Legendary retirement, electric individual. Great football player, too. People forget. Very good football player, made a lot of money. Now he has a health and wellness business down in Florida. I wish him all the best. You get it. Best partying story. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. I couldn't tell you.
I got a good backup question if you don't want that one.
I grew up in the era of everybody partying. So, I mean, now granted, I think the players before us who had a little bit more less invested in football, the guys that were smoking cigarettes on the sideline at halftime, drinking beers and stuff. Yeah, those guys, their party stories, I assume, are much better than anything But I grew up. My first couple years in the league and in my college years were all before everybody had a camera on their phone. So guys were a lot looser. I mean, I've been a part of some insane situations, obviously, and I always acted like I was the agent for all the important friends that I had. And the stories I heard from thoughts and groupies to try to get to my teammates were just next level. And the amount of money I've seen thrown to make people dance is next level. I mean, I was very, very lucky, and I think there's a lot. That's a massive part, by the way, of building up your team back in the day. Used to be a massive part of building up your team. I told the story on Rich Eisen's show about my team camaraderie building barbecue I had at my house at West Virginia because I was banned from having parties. Like Rich Rod actually gave me a ban from having parties. So I had a team chemistry camaraderie building barbecue at my house, which, by the way, not a party.
No.
This is a chemistry camaraderie building barbecue that the cops just so happened to block off a block for.
Gotta be safe.
That we had a DJ and everything for, and there's people doing you. That was back when Soldier Boy I finish. We had about 100 people in the front yard doing it. It was a great barbecue that ran till about 2, 3 in the morning. Now, sometimes when the meat's getting cooked, sometimes some things take a little bit longer to cook than the other stuff. That's why it was so late. But those moments of going out, having a beer or 50 with people, that type of stuff is massive for the team to come together. And it might sound bad, and it might not be what the sports scientists and the nutritionists think is good for the body and the player and peak performance and shit like that. But I think a team comes together a lot more around a keg than they do kale. And I just think that is something that's kind of missing potentially from the 2020 athletics. Because once you have guys that go out and have a good time, because whenever you're loose, by the way, you're telling about yourself a little bit more. You're learning about people a little bit more. The next morning, those moments you have with your friends when everybody's like recapping what happened the night before, now that's happening with the team. I mean, it's just an instant locker room builder. And every great player I've been around has been a player that wants, hey, let's go have dinner. Let's go have some drinks. And then some of them just so happen to be, hey, let's go tear a fucking club down for the next 5 hours. You got it, boss. Here we go. Oh, you're going to be the only white dude within about 10-mile radius, by the way. All right, let's do it. Let's have a good time. I had a great time with Pac-Man Jones one night down in Atlanta. Great time. And I was never even on a team with the guy. So, I mean, that is something you can think about.
We need Pac-Man back.
Pac-Man's the best. He's the fucking best. He obviously ran into some early legal issues and made some poor decisions, but you're talking about a guy who was pulled out of a very terrible thing, given a lot of money. He would have handled it differently, I believe, but at this point, mature, incredible football player, played for a long time, and he's a great guy to be friends with. I think he came out and did our live show in Cincinnati. We were going to have Chris Collinsworth be our guest. He didn't answer us. Pac-Man was like, yeah, I'll come. So I told the crowd, I was like, we were going to have Chris Collinsworth, whole place fucking booze. And I said, but instead, we got Pac-Man Jones. And the place just went ape shit. And he came out and gave us an hour-long interview. He's a man. We do need to have him.
Shout out End Zone Pizza.
Shout out End Zone Pizza.
Shout out End Zone Pizza.
Right across the river from Cincinnati. Go get your pizza now.
Go
We're back on radio in 1 second. You all right, see?
It's that Will song.
What is it? A whale?
It's your mating song?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
We listen to this song. This one's heavy in rotation. Not once has your brain said, you know what? This sounds like a whale mating call.
I saw Finding Nemo a couple days ago.
Finding Nemo?
Finding Nemo, yeah.
First one, second one, third one? First one?
And that's when Dory drops the whale sign.
Does it hold up?
Yeah.
Finding Nemo holds up?
Yeah.
All those animation movies, by the way, I will watch them.
Oh, yeah.
They're good.
There was one I saw the other day that was just despicable and should be kicked off of animation.
Which one?
Which was it? Not Onward.
Trolls World Tour.
Onward was not great either.
Whoa.
Come on. Chris Pratt.
Wasn't.
What was Onward about?
These two brothers trying to find their father.
Well, they
Homeward Bound? Just Homeward Bound with humans?
Not even close to touching Homeward Bound.
Yeah, I mean, it looked bad.
We're a lot.
Came out.
Whoa. It's an animation movie.
Yeah, it looked bad.
Impossible. It's
Steve
Pixar.
Jobs, by the way, created animation. Nobody thanks him for it.
Nobody.
Credit Pixar.
Thanks, Steve.
Disney bought it. Whenever he got fired from Apple because they hired the guy to sell sugar and water to take over Apple.
Sugar water.
And then they went down and they hired
We're
him
giving
back.
Steve animation.
Yeah, he is.
Steven
Fucking look it up, pal.
Pixar.
Yeah.
Don, get that.
Drop. Oh no, he's eating. He's in the
Oh, God, Don.
Oh, no.
He's slamming Doritos.
Did you get it?
Don, did you get that? Thank God.
That's on me.
No, that's on me.
Well, no, I mean, I got you fired up.
yeah, you're right. We are a live show. Here we are 48 minutes into hour number 2. And there's things that we should be covering that we haven't covered yet. To do that is our friend, Frank Moraldo.
Attaboy, Nick.
Attaboy, Frank.
Hey, there you go.
Attaboy, Frank.
Come on, get it now.
Bring it home, Frank.
Things that we should be covering that we haven't covered yet is brought to you by Manscaped. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Go to manscaped.com, get 20% off, plus free shipping with the code AMERICA.
That's what we're here for. Let's go. Now we go.
Happy birthday to Frank Gore, who turns 37 years old today.
Just signed a 1-year deal with the Jets. Love Frank Gore. Got to be a teammate of his. There's a guy that you want on your team, and I don't think he's only going to – he'll be done when he says he's done. He's still going to pick up 3 to 4 yards, maybe 5 yards a carry. I hope they get him in the offense a little bit. But I love Frank Gore. Good guy. One of the good ones. Sure, first ballot Hall of Famer, Frank Gore.
16th year in the NFL.
At running back, who wears no pads. He wears 0 pads. Less pads, the better. I just want to run some people over and play football, man. That's all I want to do. Love Frank Gore. Happy birthday to him.
UFC fighter Anthony Smith lost to Glover Teixeira in Wednesday night's bout, and in the process suffered a broken nose, broken orbital bone, missing 2 teeth, and a cut under his right eye.
Damn. This was the guy that they said his team should have threw in the towel. That happened with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder's crew threw in the towel. The next day, everybody's like they did the right thing. Deontay Wilder wasn't happy with his team. This particular one, Chael Sonnen, the American... He's something. He's a voice in the MMA world. He's an electrifying figure in the MMA world. He said that he thought that this guy's corner should have thrown in the towel. And even Glover Teixeira, during the fight, said, sorry, bud, this is just a part of it. Let me play bongos on your face. And that's what happened. The guy got beat to hell and back. But shout out to UFC putting on live fights still.
Jeff Bezos is predicted to be a trillionaire by the year 2026.
Oh, my God.
What?
Trillionaire.
Well, it's the United States of Amazon right now. The United States of Amazon. Everything you could possibly want or need is coming from Amazon. And you see that photo of him sitting in that dumpy little apartment with the spray-painted Amazon behind him. Little he know one day he's going to be a trillionaire. I'll tell you what, not a lot of people happy with the way he's treating his employees while he's on his way to trillion. More money, more problems. And that guy's got more money than any human in history. What's he have? He has more than most countries.
Oh, yeah.
$1 trillion.
The last few months, Amazon's gained $75.5 billion in revenue.
Oh, my God.
Yes. Another person that doesn't really mind the old coronavirus, I bet.
Connor.
Well, you think he minds making $75 billion?
I mean,
It's not about the money he's trying to provide.
Yeah. Well, he only donated $10 billion too. You're gonna make $1 trillion. At least donate, a little
donated
more
to the earth, which is dying anyways. Chael Sonnen, the American gangster.
There he is, the American gangster. I knew it was something. I knew that. But yeah, $1 trillion. Look, we need a 10-second silence so that the lake can catch up.
Here's a photo for silence.
Cheapskate.
Shut up.
Cheapskate.
Can we swear?
I mean, guys, people that guy employs.
Will you shut up? It's good radio right now. It's probably the best radio in history. Are we back, Don? Can we talk yet? And we're back. Okay, we're back. Anything else, Nick? $1 trillion.
Yeah.
That's 1,000 billion, right?
Yep. Bingo.
That's a lot of money, man. Jeez. Go on.
The U.S. Senate has voted to give law enforcement agencies access to web browsing data and history without a warrant.
Yeah, this is wild. This kind of you texted me this entire thing while I was taking my second grumpy of the morning because I haven't been eating great at night. This seems like this was a bipartisan movement here to potentially reopen the Patriot Act a little bit more. There was a lot of people that were against it. It only won by 1 vote. There were some absentee people that didn't show up for the vote that could have potentially put this thing on the other side. But now I guess the government's allowed to just go through your web browser and see whatever you've been looking at, Diggs. Ty, Zito, whatever you, Connor, oh my God. Yeah, oh my God.
I'm looking at anything.
Yeah, the Congress.
I haven't looked at a
a thing has been passed now that they're allowed just to go through right through your web browsing. And I would assume they say this is because they want to look up terrorists and killers and stuff like that. But with anything that passes, you always have to think about, what does this lead to? Are they just going to be checking out whatever the shot gang's looking into? Are they going to try to blackmail the shot gang and try to take them down? I assume that's why a lot of people are up in arms. I'm not happy about it, but you can dive through my web browsing history. It might teach you a little something, government.
I'm a little nervous just because of the reason I'm never going to kill somebody, but I have Googled how to kill someone, like just for research.
Yeah, so they're already in yours. This morning, they're already in Anthony.
Now they're definitely in there.
Why are you Googling how to kill somebody?
You've never just been curious?
In your presence, and then they find that in your search history. Boom.
Boom.
I also gave them my fingerprints last week, and so they got everything they need on me.
You own several guns. Why do you need to know how to kill somebody?
Yeah, there's the answer, pal.
Oh, because those never get caught.
And had one stolen.
It's true.
Hashtag Diggs.
Diggs, you literally are the prototype for why this law shouldn't pass.
What do you mean?
Well, you're just bouncing through oblivious, have no idea, kind of setting yourself, incriminating yourself for whatever they want to put on you.
I get God.
What's up, Jay?
It did fail to pass. I don't if we.
Oh, it did not pass.
No.
Oh, Nick!
Failed to pass.
Oh, bad one! Diggs, you're okay! Search on how to kill somebody!
I can't wait to put a J poster dunking on Nick in my
The amendment to stop it failed to pass. Jay.
So what happened? Can they find out if Diggs killed somebody or not?
Exactly, Jay. Jay backpedaling back on defense.
We'll see you tomorrow. If you're on radio, the party continues at 1 o'clock. YouTube.com/the Pat McAfee Show. Still got 10 seconds. Thank God. I thought we were out a lot of it sooner. What a wild Thursday, May 14th. We'll see you at 1. This is the Pat McAfee Show. Jesus.